Yo, what up? Welcome to another episode of Feelin' Fridays, where I share with you some of the songs that I'm really feeling in hopes that it'll expose you to some new artists, some new sounds, add to your music collection, and most importantly, inspire you in new ways to dance and to get down. As you can see, it's the holiday season, so whatever it is that you celebrate, or if you're just like me and my family and we just enjoy the company of our loved ones and our friends, a sincere happy holidays and blessings to you and to yours for whatever celebration that may occur during this time of year or whenever that time of year is for you. The song on this episode is Good Morning Pecknaam by Henry Wu off of the Good Morning Pecknaam EP. This is released from Rhythm Section, which is a really cool label that has a lot of really great music. Some of my favorite artists in kind of this, I don't know if it's deep house or kind of like simplified jazz, broken house fusion stuff as of late. Releases by artists like Henry Wu, which is the song today, as well as artists like Chaos and the CBD. Some really awesome music coming from this imprint, and I'm really excited to at least share one of the songs, although there's so many that I'm feeling. I just kind of closed my eyes and put my finger out and picked one, and this is the one here today. This song is lovely because it's short and sweet. It has very few characteristics in terms of its overall sound design, although each one of those characteristics are vitally important to making this track super grooving. I think that's why I like the song so much, is that it takes this element of kind of organic kind of groove funk, and then it layers on top a very simple kind of synthetic new age type of sound, and probably not really new age as much as it's kind of like original style analog synthesis, but it's just kind of this really interesting take of old and new presented in a way that's very relevant today in terms of musical composition. At least this is the way that I see it. So we're not looking into the future, we're not looking into the past. Quite simply, the track grooves hard, it swings hard. And that's a lot of Henry Wu's stuff, I feel, does that when he's making something for the dance floor. Whether he meant for this to be a dance floor track or not, I guess it doesn't really matter, because it's a song that I vibe out to. Arrangement is short and sweet, it gets to it, it gets down, it's dope. The way this song starts out is with this really long fade in, which kind of has this initial chord progression that represents, you know, this beginning melody. The melody is made up of kind of like this fast attacking pad type sound that has this kind of punch in and this like really statically dry sounding sustaining body to it. It's an interesting chord progression. I don't want to say weird because weird is irrelevant to whatever it is that makes it dope. The chord progression is interesting because it starts out with this kind of long sustaining chord, which then ends up being, again, as it comes back around to the bar, a 6-chord progression, or I think 6 or something like that. And it's just interesting the way that it's kind of like some of these chords are really long while some of them are short. And it's just, it feels unequal, but it just works, if that makes any sense with the way that it kind of feels to me. But really kind of the subconscious effort to where, as a dancer, I already begin to get a sense of kind of like a swing or a groove, is that there's the up hat that's being faded in with this. Even though it's not as in your face, it's giving you a sense of time. And it's something that I think for the non-dancer, it would be like, oh, this is what you toe tap to or snap your fingers to. It gives a sense of time, it gives a sense of feeling right off the bat. And it's pretty basic, but the basic fade in with the chord progression and the hi-hat really sets things up nicely for when we break out into that fundamental groove of the song. And just like that, we add 2 more basic elements, which all of a sudden turn what was a nice kind of simple melody and a nice little swinging hat into something that, quite frankly, just gives me the stank face. Like, I just hear it and go, ooh, that's funky. And that's the kick drum that gets added in with the bass line. And the kick drum is swung, it's broken, it feels jazzy, but the kick itself is not an acoustic or like organic kick. It sounds like a processed, like digital or analog-y type kick, something that is manufactured and synthetic. So it has like this particular type of body and characteristic to it where it punches you. Like, it comes in and it's like boom, da 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 da, and it's swinging. So that swing gets me onto the floor, feeling the groove, but then it's funky enough to where I can be in front or behind in terms of my basic timekeeping in my rhythm and in my time step and in my timekeeping within my body and my groove. I don't have to be right on it. I can be in front, I can be behind, and it's only helps to be in front or behind when that bass line comes in because of the funk in that bass line. And it's interesting because the sound texture of it at first, unless you were listening to it on a system that had a lot of kind of range in terms of frequency spectrum, if you're listening on like a set of computer speakers or laptop speakers, you're probably not going to feel this. But at first, you kind of almost feel like it's a real live kind of electric bass, but then you start to feel some of that kind of synthetic component to the way the sound is shaped, and it has some sub-frequency, and the fact that it has a bit of glide that feels more of like analog keyboard glide than human gliding up or down the neck of a fretboard, it provides a different type of funk, and that's really the word for it. These two components get added in, the groove is now solidified, the melody now is the energy behind the track and the chord progression, and these three other rhythmic components, hi-hat, kick drum, and bass line, they put into this what, if you're just listening to the overly elongated fade in, as to what you would feel is like not a very soulful track, now gets a lot of human soul. And as we progress into the middle of the song, this is where we start to hear some interesting little automation or like human techniques being applied to the melody line, where you get these slight resonant kind of sweeps or opening up of the filter's low pass on the main chord progression, on the main melody, where you get these wow. There are these rapid flexing open and close type things, and for me, that's kind of like an analogous to what you might get with a horn section if you were talking about funk music. And it's an interesting way to use what's already there, providing this kind of softer melody, to then brighten it up for a quick second to give a live feeling of things opening up. And these sounds, when I hear them and I start to identify with them, even though they become kind of backing to the groove that's being built, I'm aware of it in my body, and I'm aware that my movement might open up inside of these bright kind of, filters being opened up or resonant sweeps happening within the song. Add on top of that, that you get this kind of element of what becomes kind of like the lead singer in the song, where it's this kind of droning lead that's coming in. God, that probably sounds horrible. This thing comes in and really starts to take a character of taking you on a little bit of a journey, right? And I think it's really interesting that dynamic between the simple filter sweeps or the filter opening up and this lead coming in, where you start to get like a complete context of, you can dance inside the groove, or you can start to really accent and follow along and get Peter Pan with it and follow the leader. Lost Boys reference. And then really we have more or less one kind of big little piece of the song or element to the song where we kind of break out and we add the last little bit of danceable energy, where we have these syncopated kind of live snare filling feels that get added to the track with more hats, including kind of this open hat, open close kind of the hat that adds a bit for, again, some syncopation, some energy that sends us back into the one, to the funk of the kick that's swinging and the bass line that's going. And all the while this lead becomes much more transparent and much more ethereal, because at least for me, once these other elements get added in, I really start to pay attention that the lead gets its own automation, its own kind of filtery sweeps, as well as I can really hear kind of the reverb or delay effect that gets applied to it. And that's why I say ethereal, where it starts to cut through and fall behind around these rhythmic components in a really interesting way. I look at music and I visualize music in a 3D space, just like I visualize movement in a 3D space. And I think about, you know, what my movement is doing to reflect that in response to that lead, if I am following the lead, as well as where these other pieces of the track fit into how my groove is reflected inside of that. And as it pulls back, you're really kind of just left with the syncopated pieces of the hat or kind of drum section with the kick drum. And you're really just let out on an ending note of, hey, this is coming to a close, or at least it feels like it. Or perhaps if you were ambitious as a DJ, you might decide this is where you start to make some edits. If you wanted to create a longer version of the track, you could really take these sections and snip them up and do some interesting things. I'm not a DJ, but I just gave you a tip if you are one, and this would be one of those songs that I definitely could dance to for much longer than 3-4 minutes, when that's all we're really kind of left with is a couple minutes of real groovable, danceable section in the song. But, you know, it is what it is, and I'm not mad at Henry Wu for killing it with this track. So that was Good Morning Pecknaam by Henry Wu. Go check him out. He's got a great catalog under his name of remixes, original productions. Definitely a dope artist. I had stumbled across his music many times through the years, but my homie DJ Cali from out here, who's a good friend of mine and an awesome eclectic music collector and DJ and music connoisseur, was like, yo, you gotta really pay attention to this dude. So now I try not to let releases from Henry Wu slip past me. Let that be a lesson. Don't sleep. So if you're feeling these videos like I'm feeling this track, let me know how you feel. Maybe suggest a track. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Again, happy holidays. I hope you had a great year, and I hope you enjoy your next year. Peace.